But anyway, let's get into our main topics here today, guys. And our first main topic is going to be about the Snyder Cut. A ton of news has come out about the Snyder Cut. A couple things that I'm very excited about. There's mainly one thing that I'm really excited about. Another thing I'm kind of confused about in some ways. But first off, the kind of bigger story of everything, at least with these four Snyder Cut kind of tidbit topics here, it brings us to Zack Snyder recently did an interview, and he said that of all the well, recently too, just to backtrack 2 seconds, uh, we got like word here within the last couple of weeks, and we covered it on the show and everything that like Jared Leto was going to be returning for the Joker to reprise his role as the Joker from Suicide Squad. He never showed up in like Justice League or anything like that, but he was going to be reprising his role as the Joker for the Snyder Cut. So he was actually going to be coming in and doing some like additional photography with Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello. So he was going to be going back up as Deathstroke, and he did make an appearance at the end, post kind of credit scene of the original Justice League that came out in theaters and everything. But then there was also another story that Zach was going to be doing additional photography in general for the show. So like I think even like Amber Heard came back and did some shots for the Snyder Cut, and then a lot of the original cast members were also coming back to do some. So they did some stuff with Flash, Cyborg, I think even Gal. I don't know if there was ever confirmation that Ben and Henry came back to do anything, but nearly everybody in the original Justice League came back to do some sort of additional photography. But Zach said in this recent interview that amidst all the 4 hours of the Snyder Cut miniseries is going to be only about 4 minutes of it, just 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, I guess he technically says, is going to be additional photography for the entire movie, which I found pretty like interesting because like I just went off the list of all the people they brought back to do additional photography. I mean, only 4 to 5 minutes seems like a very small amount. Like what?
It's a lot of money and a lot of effort on the part of WB and everybody else to get everybody back together for 4 minutes of footage.
Yeah, and I can't imagine. I never expected them to come back and do additional photography and have like an hour's worth of footage with these people. Like I figured it'd be a very small amount. But once we started hearing all these things about like Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello in particular, like two people who weren't even in the original cut, once I got heard that like they were coming back, I assumed we were looking at least 10, 20 minutes of new footage because like elsewise, I think I even said on the show before when that news first came out, like, what is the point of like A, bringing them back for just like a quick little throwaway tidbit, but B, if they have no plans to continue doing anything with like Jared Leto's Joker in like a Ben Affleck Batman movie or something, or another Suicide Squad movie, because we know he's not going to be in, we don't know for sure, but don't know if there's been confirmation that he's going to make any sort of appearance in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but I'm pretty sure he's not. So like my whole thing was, why would Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello even bother coming back to like reprise the roles of Joker and Deathstroke if they essentially aren't going to be able to do anything else with those characters going forward? Like the Deathstroke movie essentially is dead, and then the Joker and Harley Quinn movie's like pretty much been dead. There's been no news on that coming out. So it's just odd. So I figured, with them coming back in particular, that there'd probably be, I don't know, a decent amount of footage with them. And it's just, and once you get to all the people that they came back for, just 4 minutes just seems like such a small amount. Oh.
It does. Here's the one thing that I thought when I first heard this and I started thinking through like we were talking about, like, why do you bring all these people back? Why? I mean, really, is 4 minutes worth it? And I'm wondering if the key word in that whole thing isn't the 4 minutes of quote new footage. I don't know that all the principal photography had been finished when Zach initially left the project. So I'm curious if maybe by new footage, they're referring to maybe additional scenes or additional dialogue that was not supposed to be in his original cut. and that he went back to and threw in some extra stuff when he was given the opportunity to expand the movie and make it basically a 4 hour long movie. If he decided, oh well, here I wanted to flesh out this scene a little more, this scene over here a little more, and and went ahead and added 4 minutes to what he originally wanted to shoot, but then they also needed to do some pickup shots on um, some of the footage that he had done previously but hadn't been able to finish because of the timing of when he left the project. So I'm thinking maybe that's the case. That makes more sense to me, to bring all these people back in and set up all these other shoots and sets and stuff, rather than just, hey, I want to have these additional 4 minutes in the movie.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's just I mean, I could totally see that being the case. I just figure at least with my guess here, and I was trying to find another story here because this reminded me that this was going to be happening too. Because in another interview Zach did recently, he was talking about um actually doing, like, he said, like, the plans were there. He knows where the story picks up after Justice
Yep.
League 1. So he essentially, like, there is, because from the start there was Justice League was always supposed to be a two-part thing.
Yep.
That obviously seemed to be dead, like, ever since, Zach left the first film and Joss Whedon came in and, blah blah blah, everybody knows that story. So we never really assumed we'd ever see that, but so, I mean, I don't know. Is it? I'd like to see it. I don't know if
I,
it's ever gonna be possible at this point, but he was
I
just talking about it.
Yeah, I saw that same interview, that same article that covered that, and it really seemed like he was opening the door to, if this works, if WB is happy with the returns with the viewers on HBO Max for this series, or for his cut of Justice League, it really seems like he was opening the door to say, "Hey, let's run it back and let's finish out the story that I had in my head,"
Yeah.
which I'm all for. If they want to do a Dark Side War, hey, bring it on.
Oh, I know. I'd love, because that's the thing that kind of bums me out too. Because we know Darkseid was supposed to be in that whole scene where Steppenwolf comes in, and it's like the flashback scene where he's fighting the Amazons and the Greek
Yep.
gods and all that stuff. That's actually Darkseid in his cut, and we've seen
Yeah.
like teasers of that happening. And this is supposed to be Darkseid pre-Darkseid, like before he actually takes
Hmm.
on the mantle of Darkseid. And yeah, Darkseid's like my favorite character, so I'd love to see more of it fleshed out, and I could totally see them doing it if this thing is, for one, uh, I'd say just if it's successful in some way, if it brings in viewership and brings in subscribers, they already put 70 plus million into letting him finish this thing. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if it's successful enough, I know there was a recent article that came out, said that Disney Plus in their first year, they're up to like 73 million subscribers or something, which is about either double or maybe even triple what HBO has, HBO Max has, which is kind of shocking. Just
Yeah.
shocking just because Disney Plus hasn't had anything like new content wise other than The Mandalorian. And I mean,
Yeah.
so it's like that catalog obviously did wonders for them because HBO Max, even though they've been only around for a couple months at this point, they have put out like a lot more original series and everything than they have.
They have. I think the one thing that Disney has going for them is they have that kid content. The young, a lot of families are going to be more inclined, I think, to grab Disney Plus than they would HBO Max. So I think that helps them. And then Disney Plus has had, they have had a little drought of content, but they also had some things right when they jumped off. I mean, they had the High School Musical show, which isn't necessarily in my wheelhouse, but there were a lot of people that were happy about that. And then they had the Lady and the Tramp live action movie that went straight to them, and so they've had some things that definitely I think are more family oriented and maybe got some more families to buy into their service.
Yeah, I mean, like their catalog though, I can't, like, obviously, I think the
Yeah,
catalog kind of speaks for itself. That's obviously, I think they're
sure.
selling, but realistically too, could you imagine how much, like, how much bigger do you think they could be if they would have actually been on track to have Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision
Oh God,
already,
yeah,
like, because those two things were already supposed to have come out.
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like if they definitely, I think, would have been probably closer to like 100 million at this point if they were able to get
Sure.
70 million off the backs of Mandalorian and the catalog for the most part. I mean, if those
Yeah,
Marvel shows came
when you have a
out,
show yeah, when you have a show with established characters that people have just especially coming out, like, right after Endgame, I mean, can you imagine if they would have had Falcon and Winter Soldier ready to go right after the end of Endgame? Because everybody wants to know, "Okay, where's the Marvel Universe going now?" I mean,
hmm
Endgame ended with, we lost Tony and we lost Steve, and what's gonna happen next? I mean, Falcon gets the shield, Sam gets the shield, and what does that mean? And those answers hopefully are coming in that series, but it would have, But now, I mean, the flip side of that is we haven't had any MCU content for over a year.
yeah,
The first time in what, a decade almost, that we haven't had new MCU content for over a year, and maybe that thirst for that new content will drive a lot of subscribers once those shows are ready to
hmm
go.
that's what I was gonna say. Like now that Black Widow was pushed out, we've gone a full year at this point. MCU route on top of all that,
I,
so.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling the Jones in
Yeah.
it.
I mean, unfortunately, too, like we talked about last week, the Avengers game didn't really fill in that void too well. Like it's pretty hit and
Yeah,
miss, and you'd think like, maybe it could have satiated some of that hunger, but it didn't. I don't know. It didn't seem to turn out that way for the masses, unfortunately.
yeah.
So, and then other than that, with the Snyder Cut thing, we got a couple more little tidbits here. That was like the main meaty Snyder Cut topic, but we got an image of Darkseid here. Speaking of Darkseid himself, here this was another shot of him that came out here on a TV show, or not TV show, a T-shirt. You see where my brain's at right now. So we got
Really,
this, yeah.
really cool look at him. I was actually really, I thought he looks awesome there. He looks like the classic dark side that I was really hoping we'd get to see at some point.
It looks
So,
good. Looks good. That's why, like, I hope it takes off, and I hope they can somehow justify and bring everybody back to do a follow up, just so we get more Dark Side. Man.
yeah,
Like and a Justice League 2, just to see more Dark Side, and not to mention a Martian Manhunter little image. So this was like, I told you when, and I've said this before. From the start, after I saw Man of Steel, I wanted Harry Lennox's character to be Martian Manhunter. It made the most sense to ever. As soon as I saw him and that movie played out, I was like,
yep,
that dude needs to be Martian Manhunter. It's absolutely
yep,
perfect. Like the way he's just everything he did with Clark and everything, how just like not caring, I don't know, just like kind of chill with him. Like he was just chill with him the whole
sure,
time. He was always on Clark's
yeah.
side with it. And I mean, it just made the most sense for like, yeah, that dude should definitely be Martian Manhunter.
Almost looking out for him in a way,
Yeah,
yeah, a
yeah.
little bit, yeah,
So I'm super glad that Zach was on the same page with me on that, and like I guess had that plan from the start. So like we got a little tease. So
hmm
I don't, because that's another thing too with like only this 4 minutes of stuff. 4 minutes like they're supposed to have Martian Manhunter in it too, and like all these other things. Like the 4 or 5 minutes thing just kind of blows my mind with all this stuff.
yeah,
And
and that's why I think that 4 or 5 minutes. I think that's new stuff that he wrote. I think that's additional scenes that were not in his original script. That he for now that he has the freedom to expand it out, has decided that he wants to shoot.
maybe maybe it's a little bit more, and he's just like kind of teasing it. Like
Yeah,
4 to 5 minutes, but then we see it's like 20, 30 minutes. Like who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
we end up getting a bonus fifth hour of the Justice
Yeah.
League
Well, it's kind
series.
of
That would
it's like I was saying before though too. Even with like with Jared Leto in particular coming back, what nowhere does the Joker fit into the Justice League story that we got. And
no,
like, yes, the Snyder cut is different than what we got in Justice League, but the meat and bones of the movie is essentially the same. Like, because Joss didn't really get to change all that much of it. They essentially just cut a ton of stuff out and reshot a couple things, shortened it up, and that was it. But the meat and potatoes of the invasion happening and all that stuff, that's the story still. I mean, there's obviously going to be more to it, but I was just like, there's no way like Joker would have too much screen time in this movie because like he doesn't fit in against like Joker fighting parademons like or it doesn't make a
sure.
whole lot of sense. Deathstroke, you could kind of make an argument that he could hold his own with everything, but like he still
Do
doesn't really
you
fit into the story
Yeah,
as we know it.
now that you're talking about that all that, it makes me wonder if that isn't if he's not really if those 2 weren't brought back to do an expanded after credit scene. Like,
That's
maybe
what
that
I'm
credit
thinking.
scene on the
Yeah,
yeah,
because I
which
mean,
still, that'd be cool, I'd love to see it.
yeah, like, my guess, like, from the start with that was, like, I really didn't see why they would come back because, like, they don't really fit into the story unless they were gonna be setting, like, the Ben Affleck Batman solo movie up. Like, there were
Yeah,
rumors that, like, that was actually gonna be happening. Just unsubstantiated rumors and everything, but that's really the only thing that ever made sense to me. For those 2 characters particularly making any sort of appearance in this Justice League movie would specifically be to set up something else. Like, even if it's
mhm,
not the Ben Affleck Batman movie, that's just what makes the most sense for those 2 characters, being that it's Joker and Deathstroke.
yeah,
Um, I don't know, I just don't know why else it would really be in there. I don't know what the I in my mind, I'm not Zack Snyder, I didn't work on the movie and know anything about what his cut of the movie is, but I just don't know where they fit into it. Like, unless, like I said, setting something else up. But speaking of Joker, the last, story we had here was this, producer was on, producer of what was it, Justice League or BVS, one of the 2, came out and, started talking about the initial plans for, like, how Joker would have killed Robin. And, in the little tweet here, they say, "If Zack and David stick with the story of having Joker brutally beat Robin to death and then set his body on fire, then there's no doubt in my mind that it happened at Wayne Manor, and that's why the house looked like that," which would make sense, like, if that's
yep,
how it was, supposedly gonna be. And, they went on to say that, Joker would probably know who Batman is at that point. And, that's this is one thing too where, like, I really wish, because I've always said that, like, they didn't need to for, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, for instance, right? A lot of people say that, like, Justice League failed because they didn't, like, set up everybody with their own individual movies first.
yeah,
I don't that's not true because, like, Guardians of the Galaxy didn't need a Star-Lord movie and a Drax movie and all this stuff for Guardians of the Galaxy to work. You know what I mean? If
and
anything, they're nobody knows who they are.
exactly,
Like, so but the one thing that I think really would have, in some ways, worked better for at least the character of Ben Affleck's Batman, and maybe even Zack Snyder, because I felt like BVS was more of a Batman movie than anything, and the fact that we were getting such like it's not like an drastically different take, but it's a different take on Batman than anyone was really used to on screen, obviously. And when I feel like this event, like I feel like Zack should have made a Batman movie for, because I felt like
yeah,
the stuff that he brought to Ben's Batman, like in BVS in particular, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But if they would have been able to set that up a little bit better and like explain how Robin died and like all these things, because you see this stuff, but you have no context for it. You just get a couple lines from Ben, Ben's Bruce saying that they've been doing this for 20 years and like he's, just you just get like kind of throwaway lines that kind of describe where he's at mentally. But
mhm,
if they could have expanded on that and you actually saw that kind of play out, and then you go into BVS, I feel like that would have been a lot more compelling,
yeah.
in my opinion.
I
And then,
No, I agree, like, show me, don't tell me. Like,
yeah,
I wanna see this stuff. If I'm gonna be invested in this character, I wanna take that journey with him and know, like, what he's going through. Don't just tell me, "Hey, yeah, this guy's been beaten down by life." I mean, we've seen plenty of Batman go through stuff that doesn't break him, so why did these series of events break this particular iteration of Batman?
exactly. And and obviously, like we're left to assume, and it makes sense that the death of Robin would have been something that would definitely push him over the edge.
Yeah,
But like you said, and it's like the rule number one of like good storytelling, and at least in movies, is show don't tell. Like
mhm,
that is like rule number one for making a movie. So, and this is something that was hopefully like in the Batman or Ben Affleck Batman like spin-off movie. If that were to ever happen, this is something I would hope that they would actually like kind of expand upon.
yeah,
If they do in any way, it would honestly make the whole experience of like going back and watching BVS, just the whole Snyderverse of movies, like, it would kind of make it a much kind of, like, cleaner experience when you have a little bit more of this information. Plus, Ben Affleck directing a Batman movie is more than likely going to be great on its own because he's a phenomenal director. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to just kind of wait and see on what kind of happens with that because, like I said, unless they decide to do that Ben Affleck Batman movie, I don't know if we'll ever get anything else on the whole Robin situation. But I don't know. You got anything else you want to add on that? Because that was the last of the Snyder Cut topics here that we had.
No, well, actually, the one thing we didn't talk about that I saw just recently, and it's not a huge thing, but I did see that Amber Heard confirmed that she is coming back to
Yeah,
do some scenes in the movie. Apparently, there not a past tense. There currently is a petition up on change.org for her removal,
right.
based on her domestic issues with Johnny Depp and the fallout from some of that, which um, I was surprised to hear, but anyway, she confirmed that she is coming back. So it looks like they've got all the original cast back together
Yeah.
um, to fill this out. And you know what? I'm saying that wrong. She's coming back for Aquaman too.
No, she did
She
come back for
is she doing Justice League
She
too?
did, yeah. Because the
Okay,
petition, though, from what I heard, all these petitions going around was for her to be removed from Aquaman 2,
that's what.
but
Okay, that's
nobody
where
was
I'm getting
yeah.
confused.
Yeah,
Okay,
nobody
yeah,
was
you're
saying
right.
anything. And that was because I saw those petitions, everything going around, and I saw some other people say that, like, they were, for oddly enough, only petitioning for the Aquaman 2 thing and not like, no
Okay,
one was petitioning Zach, even though he went back to shoot stuff for that. And my main
okay,
thought was that people didn't know, like, they just didn't even know that she'd already gone back and shot those scenes
yeah,
for
okay.
Zach and Justice League. And like with that too, not to get into like the TMZ drama, but like I honestly feel like it's kind of odd that people are even doing it because like
Sure,
I
you
don't
know,
know. It's just like she's not the one who lost the case that just happened. So it's like
yeah.
not
It,
that I'm like saying she should be or shouldn't be. It's just weird.
And
Like
like we were talking about with Johnny Depp last week, I mean, this is like a domestic thing between these two people.
yeah,
If there's a third party that should be involved in this thing, it's police or law enforcement. Beyond that, like I don't know. I don't know why the court of public opinion for either side, her or him,
yeah.
it feels like it needs to weigh in on this situation. Like if you like her movies and you like her acting, go see her. If you don't. If you same for him. If you like what he's doing, go see it. If you don't. But like this outside world coming in and having such an impact on these fantasy worlds just seems very strange to me.
No, it's
Um,
super weird. Like
so
I don't know. It's kind of thing too. Is I don't know. It's just I mean it's a sensitive subject and I get that, but it's just like it's just so weird to me that like she's getting so much backlash over something that like she like because neither one of
well,
them
yeah,
have gotten criminal charges either. There's not like it
no.
is like a personal thing. Like Johnny Depp lost the UK suit about like a libel thing, saying that he was essentially slandered against. So like
Hmm.
the court said that based on the evidence they go in support of Amber Heard, and it looks like everything that he was accused of is, in their words, substantively true. But then
Yeah,
Amber Heard gets all this backlash, and it's like
yeah,
it's so odd to me because it's like you'd think it'd be the other way around, but it's like just
sure.
because it's Johnny Depp and like people love Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp is a great actor and stuff. I love Johnny Depp, and he's great in all his movies. And we're
Hmm.
gonna talk to him about him here something else with the Grindelwald stuff, another story coming up. But like it's just super odd how that is like playing out because like you just think it would be reversed. Like
Very much.
it's just so odd to me. Like I don't know.
This is one of the first times that I can recall where I've heard at least I'm sure it's happened before, and I'm sure I just am not aware of it. It's one of the first times I recall hearing like both sides of a domestic dispute being kind of looked at and told, we don't want you around anymore because you were involved with this thing, and so it's
Oh yeah, and that's another thing too. So like the news came out like last week that Johnny Depp put out a statement saying that he was going to be leaving, the Harry Potter franchise as Grindelwald. He was stepping away from that because Warner Brothers asked him to because like apparently Warner Brothers had done their own investigation into this,
Mhm.
Amber Heard domestic dispute, Johnny Depp drama, and they didn't like what they found. Like, I don't no one's came out from Warner Brothers to say that, like, they like, what it was, but, like, there were inside sources at Warner Brothers saying that they had done their own internal investigation, and they essentially were just waiting for an actual court to come out and say something. And then
Yeah.
once the court made something public, that's when they were gonna, like, publicly part ways with Johnny Depp on the whole thing. So, like, it's really odd that, like, everyone like, another thing that makes it odd is that, because people are making these petitions and everything for Amber Heard to be removed, but, like, because, like, these petitions are to Warner Brothers to remove her from Aquaman and all this stuff and blah, 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 but, like, Warner Brothers has already done their own investigation on it. Like,
Yeah.
on their end, they're removing Johnny Depp because they didn't like what they found in that situation. So it's just like I think it, like, honestly just comes down to, and I understand why, because Johnny Depp is a huge fan base and beloved by a lot of people, but, like, I think that's really all it comes down to is people are kind of, like, disillusioned by what they're seeing. Like, they don't have the whole I don't have the whole story either. I'm not defending Amber Heard or Johnny Depp. I'm just saying from a completely unbiased third party looking in on the situation, it's just I don't know, people just looking at it with, like, foggy glasses, like, they're only seeing what they wanna
Sure.
see, like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because if the court cases are saying something, they're the ones who are seeing all the evidence. Like, Warner Brothers did their own internal investigation. They're seeing a ton more evidence than any of us are. Like,
Mhm.
none of us should even see any of that shit. Like, it's
Yeah, we don't
all
have access to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't. Like, cause like you were saying, this is a personal domestic, like, civil suit, and it's kind of
Mhm.
unfortunate and that they're both, like, in the public about it to begin with. Because like, I'm sure that, like sure nobody out there would wanna have their civil, domestic, personal life made public just because you're a
Yeah.
public figure, you know? There's some things that,
Yeah.
like, you don't want televised.
Yeah, it's like the
Like
wife and the husband that you see yelling at each other in the parking lot of the grocery store. It's like, like, what if random paparazzi just started following them, like, back to
yeah,
their house, and, like, they started releasing statements to the press, and, like, nobody cares because it's,
yeah,
Joe Schmo and Lucy Schmo, and, and because this one, they happen to make movies, it becomes this very public thing, so
right. And
very odd.
it's unfortunate for both because, like, in the end, like, it obviously depends on the degree of, like, how bad everything was in any case, like, it's always a shame if someone's, like, entire career is, like, lost because of just one bad day kinda thing. Because that's the thing,
Sure.
it's like if somehow, let's say all this stuff that Amber Heard is accusing Johnny Depp of is all true, then
Mhm.
it's like, who's to say if it's never happened ever up until then, does it make him completely irredeemable? Does it because,
Well,
it
that's
doesn't replace, like, how bad the action was by any means at all, like, you should never physically abuse your wife definitely not. Shouldn't really hurt anybody like that, but it's like kinda like the criminal system in general, like, you go and you serve your time and you're supposed to that's your penance, and then you're released back into society, and it's like, but does it undo all the good that you've done, and should you never be allowed to do any good after that, it's a sticky situation.
very, very much so. We live in a society where we have a judicial system and a justice system that's set up to, for the most part, offer rehabilitation and redemption for people to get them back integrated into society in a purposeful and meaningful way. Um, but society more and more seems to be trending the opposite direction, which is, you make a mistake, you mess up, that scarlet letter hangs around your neck until until society moves on to whatever else comes next, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Like none of it makes sense to me, like I said, because I'm not a part of it, and I don't really think anybody should try to make sense of it. And I don't think anybody who's completely outside of it should be asking for anybody's career to be over. It has nothing to do with anybody. Because like you
yeah,
said, if you don't like the situation, then don't support Amber Heard. Like if you don't,
yeah,
it's that simple. If you don't like the situation, then don't support Johnny Depp. Like it's just don't
yeah.
support them anymore. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to read the TMZ article about it and get mad. Just don't support
Hmm.
them.
Yep.
Move on. So But anyways, let's move on to our next topic on that note. So let's let this. I know we just covered a lot of stuff, guys, but with all the Snyder cut and everything, let us know, like, what you think. Do you think it's really only going to be 4 to 5 minutes? Like, that's kind of the big question I have now. What is the point of bringing all these, like, especially people who weren't even in the original Snyder cut, like your Jared Leto's, your Joe Manganiello's, like all these people? What's the point in bringing them back only for 4 to 5 minutes of footage? It seems like, maybe there'd be a little bit more than that. So let us know what you guys think of all this down in the comments section below.